He's Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer. He'll be calling the Bulls at the Lakers this Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern on TNT. The Hall of Famer back with us. Hi, Reg.
It's called leg strength, and most people think that shooters shoot from their arms or their wrist, but no. The good, efficient shooters use their legs. And you look at Steph Curry and say, wait a minute, I mean, they're noodles. No. Strong legs, people, a strong foundation and a strong base. So most of the times when you're looking at him and you're thinking, oh, what a sweet stroke, the follow-through, people forget it's all about the mechanics, the footwork, and the legs.
But he practices these off-balance shots, almost as if to say this will be something that will come up game-related. Did you practice? Because a lot of guys will just shoot around. I watch guys when they shoot around, and they'll take their time to shoot little jumpers. Ray Allen shot in game-like situations during warm-ups. Steph Curry, you get the feeling, feels like this is going to be a game-like situation. Did you do that?
Yes, it's called shooting in distress. And you try to put yourself in the worst case possible in game-like situations. So either before practice or after practice, I used to take a ton of shots, imagining with the shot clock running down, and most of the time the ball finding you, and you're shooting off-balance shots, or you're shooting with a coach or something that would have a broom or something in his hands to make it like a defender is like all over you. So you go over these scenarios and situations over and over the same way that Steph is. So come game time, nothing is new to him. Nothing surprises him. So for us at home, we're going, can you believe he's taking these shots? Well, yeah, I can believe it because I know the time he's put in. And it's funny now because, like with Kobe, in his 20th season and some of the shots that he's missing now, we need to remember that Kobe was probably the best bad shot maker the game has ever seen. Right now, Steph is in an unbelievable zone. In 10 or 15 years, when he starts to slow down a little bit and then he starts to take these crazy shots, when you and I revisit that, he's making them all now. He's going to make them in 10 or 15 years once he gets towards the end of his career.
This news just broke, no pun intended, a couple of minutes ago. Blake Griffin suffering a broken hand over the weekend, and ESPN reporting that he hurt his hand in an undisclosed team-related incident. Now reports are coming out involved in an incident with a team employee, specifically someone from the Clippers equipment staff member. The incident took place in Toronto. The Clippers beat the Raptors in Toronto on Sunday.
Nothing surprises me anymore. As a former player, we get paid so much money to entertain, and obviously our bodies are our most important weapon and what allows us to, make all this money. And to jeopardize that over, obviously you and I don't know what was said or what went down with this equipment manager, but you cannot put yourself in that position when you are, along with Chris Paul, probably the face of the Clipper organization and one of the two most important people on that team. So it's unfortunate. Again, we don't know what was said or behind the scenes, but you can't be going after an equipment manager and then jeopardizing almost a month of basketball work because you broke your hand, on his jaw. I mean, that's ridiculous. It really is. But it doesn't surprise me. You cut away to my last Clipper game, and you had, Lance Stevenson and Josh Smith slap boxing on the sideline. It doesn't surprise me anymore. Nothing surprises me.
Well, teams try to keep it in-house. You can't keep...
You knew that was not going to stay in-house.
No.
Because every question would be like, well, wait a minute. He's already on the injured list. How could he break his hand? So you knew that was going to come out. Who I feel sorry about is this poor equipment manager because he's probably lost his job. He really has. He probably lost his job over this.
But when you played, were you guys able to hide things from the media without naming names or incidents?
It was probably a little bit easier before the age of Twitter and social media and Instagram, because the way people obtain their information, in today's age, everything is instant. You know exactly what is going on. I mean, as soon as Blatt was fired, everyone was coming out with the reasons why. and everyone wants their information by looking at their phone and going on the internet and Googling because you're able to obtain information so quickly. 15, 20, 25 years ago, that wasn't the case. You had beat writers, and it would take them, a week or two just to get the story down. That's not the case now. Plus, you have a lot of snitches on teams, too. A lot of snitches.
What do you mean?
Well, case in point, and I will say this, because management and ownership, they have the right to hire and fire whoever they want, coaches-wise. But what gets me upset is, when Blatt's on his way out the door, there's no reason to kick this man. There's no reason for former players, Brendan Haywood, to come out and say, well, he froze up during timeouts and, he let LeBron slide during practice. He would never hold LeBron accountable during film session. There's no reason for you to say that. If it was that important, say it while you're playing or say it right after you retire. Don't wait for the man to get fired. I don't want to hear from management in the Cavs organization, anonymous sources saying, that Blatt was this and that. Put your name to it. Don't be a snitch. Don't be like a little schoolgirl and cry and go hide behind the teacher. Put a name to it. That's the only reason why I'm upset. Again, ownership, and rightfully so. Maybe all the things that Haywood was saying was correct, but don't come out after the fact and take down this man's character on his way out. That's the only problem I have with the firing of Blatt because, again, him and LeBron, it was obvious they didn't get along. It was obvious. Yeah. We all said that. But we don't know the behind-the-scenes things that go on day in and day out, and that's what David Griffin said in his press conference, that he walked into that locker room, and he's probably right. But fire the man and move on to Tyrone Lue. Don't try to come up with reasons why and call former players, and they drop dime on what. I don't want to hear all that. But say it while you were in it. Don't wait. Don't be a little schoolgirl.
Who fired David Blatt, in your opinion?
David Griffin.
Really?
Now, look, perception and reality. You and I are not dumb. Come on. And for the fact that they're going to say that LeBron James had no idea that they were firing David Blatt, okay. Perception, perhaps. Reality, come on, people. But you know what? That's on them. If they felt that they needed to change, they can do whatever they want. It's their organization.
I know, right? But it makes it sound silly, Reg, when they go, hey, LeBron was blindsided. So you're going to fire a coach with LeBron in a year where he can opt out at the end of this season. So what if LeBron said, what? You fired Blatt? I'm not re-signed. Like, okay, we know they didn't get along. It was the wrong guy for this situation because they were ready to win a championship. When they brought him in, they were ready to rebuild. I get it. But I don't think LeBron can go, I was blindsided by this? I was blindsided.
I'm not quite. Well, we're blindsided by his reaction to the firing.
I'm blindsided to him saying he was blindsided.
Perception and reality. Yeah. And I know it's the organization's job to protect LeBron James, but you and I and most people in the basketball world that know are not stupid. We understand that. Now, I will say this. I would say he didn't say fire David Blatt. I will say he didn't say that, but you knew there was tension or you knew they didn't get along. You knew something was there. Here's my thing. What if they would have won last year? What would have happened then? What do you do then?
I don't think you could have fired him.
I mean, you're 30-11. You're coming off a finals appearance. You just smacked the Clippers. I mean,
that would have been hard.
If that's the case, Greg Popovich is going to be fired in the next couple of days. I'm telling you, Popovich is going to be fired. I mean, what's the difference? They lost by 35, and last night they beat the second best team by 30.
Yeah.
So should Popovich be fired? I mean, people need to relax. It's one game. Was it a beatdown? Yes. There's certain games, people, that you circle on your calendar. And certainly not at the start of the year did both of these teams circle it, because you didn't know that they were going to get off to this start. But certainly by December, mid-December, when you saw both teams running away from the competition, this game was circled because they hadn't played one another. So at the end of the day, very much you asked me this question after Golden State beat down Cleveland, it's one game. Do you circle that game and think about it? Yes, because you want to play well and you kind of want to leave a mark in that game. But if you're Greg Popovich, this is the best thing that could have happened to him. Because if I'm him, next time we play each other and down the road, come playoff time, if they're to face one another, you have that game one tape on rewind the whole time in the locker room. Yep, this is what they think about you. Yep, this is what they think about you. Yep, this is what, and you just play that game over and over and over again.
Before I let you go, our poll question, if you had to bet a week's pay on the Warriors winning the championship or you get the field.
You always take the field because you're one twisted ankle away from it all blowing up. I would have to take the field. But you and I have a nice bet. And right now I'm sitting pretty good. But you would always have to take the field because injuries are a part, and you never know what can happen. There's a lot of games left.
And you got 72 wins? Is that the bet?
72, I still win. 72, I still win, right? You did agree upon that.
So if they get to 72, you win. I say they don't tie the Jordan
Correct.
Bulls. Yeah.
Correct. And before, I know you're crunched on time. Before I go, something has to be said about game management and Peyton Manning. Okay, I heard your comments, and rightfully so, but sometimes understanding situations and not losing games or losing Super Bowls are just as important. I mean, you could take Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson. I mean, those defenses were great, just the same way Denver's defense is great. Sometimes Peyton just doesn't have to lose. I would rather have Peyton under center calling things, being able to see what the defense is doing versus, a guy that's been in the league 4 or 5 years. So sometimes Peyton just doesn't have to lose it. Last year, Russell Wilson lost the Super Bowl on that last play.
Yeah.
When the smart thing would have been just to hand it off to beast mode. So sometimes being a game manager is pretty good. I'm going to always err on the side of a guy that, with the Hall of Fame stats that Peyton has, I will roll with Peyton in those kind of situations not to lose a game, as opposed to we want him to be like the Peyton of Indiana and throw for 350 and 5 touchdowns. That's not the case now. How about being a game manager and letting your defense come up with big plays, which they did against New England, and moving on to the Super Bowl?
Thank you, Reg. Have fun with the Lakers and Bulls Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern on TNT.
Theodore, you know I love and adore you. Danettes, you guys are like my little babies. I love you guys. Much love.
Thank you, Reg.